Welcome to my channel. I am so glad that you guys are here. The new channel is called Aggressive Progressive, and this is where we're going to be discussing ideas and some exciting ideas that may become a little bit very passionate, as the best way of saying that. So I want to talk a little bit about the channel, and it's going to be a dynamic platform where diverse social, political, and religious perspectives kind of intersect. I'm your enthusiastic guide. My name is Laura F1, and we're going to have a journey of exploration and dialogue. Aggressive Progressive is going to celebrate the richness of different opinions and the power of meaningful conversation. This community is where individuals can come together about current events, political discourse, religious exploration into various, we can even be looking at videos to discuss broader understanding. I hope that you subscribe to Aggressive Progressive. You'll not only be able to stay informed of our latest contents, but you'll also become a valued member. And your subscription will help us to foster an environment where everyone can be heard and the perspective is respected. So we are going to dedicate a space on this forum to discuss the Middle East conflict. And that's going to be in a manner that promotes understanding, acceptance, and diverse perspectives as well. This topic does invoke strong emotions and differing viewpoints, and I believe it is essential to approach it with sensitivity and openness. My goal here is to create an environment where individuals can engage in a respectful and constructive dialogue about the Middle East, and we're going to do that by replying below, and I can maybe reply back to you. Your insights and contributions to the discussion is going to be highly valued. Let's try to keep it as respectful as we possibly can. I think that we can collectively work towards creating a greater awareness and empathy regarding issues at hand. And I wanted to start off with talking about, this being an input about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Now, this is something that, as I said, is going to be passionate on both ends, all right? But as an aggressive progressive, I would like you to see my perspective as to where I'm coming from and how I came to some of the decisions that I have came to regarding the conflict. And I hope that you will be able to honor me and share your opinions as well. So let's get started. I think that the Israeli-Palestinian, I think that the Israelis should share the lands with their cousins. Palestinians have been tied to Israel for thousands of years. They even share cultural components. To tell them to live in another Arab country is equivalent to telling an African American to go back to Africa. The many prophets and bloodlines are tied with Arabs, black Ethiopian Jews, and Israeli Jews. The offspring of the prophets who slept with Arabs, Ethiopians, black Jews, the bloodline is there. The land ties is there. And we can go on with Solomon, when we think of Solomon, right? Solomon, who wrote the Song of Solomon, I believe that he wrote it to a Shulamite woman. That wasn't even an Israeli woman. Moses slept with a black man, had a black wife. Joseph had an Arab wife. Abraham had Arab wives. Not to mention the Israeli shepherd boys who were sleeping in the field. Not to mention the invading territories of the rapes and the rapes or the invasions of other women. All of these people had caused bloodlines and ties, and these ties, these offsprings, they had to create some of their own communities, because back in those days, if you weren't Jewish, you were not Jewish. You were not accepted. So they did marry into other communities. They did create some communities. I do not believe that that Israel is only for the Israelis that are there. And the Israelis that are there, let's consider that when they went to, unfortunately, with the Holocaust, there were more Israeli people living in Europe than they were actually living in Israel. There were more of them living there. Okay, there were more of them living overseas. Now, they also, people come back with different answers and complies to that, saying something like, well, they were kicked out by the Romans, and the Romans asked them to move, or didn't ask them to move, or kicked them out, or they were pushed out of Israel, and those kind of things. I said, okay, I get that. I understand where you're coming from with that argument. But I do know, reading on the acts of war, violence, and how usually military people go in, you don't pick cucumbers out of salads. What you do is you wipe them all out if you want to get them out. So the Jewish people who did go to Europe, they had a choice. And they do believe that the land was given to them by God Almighty. And if so, why did they leave it? There was Palestinians still there. There was Ethiopian. There were black Jews and all of that. But they did not leave. So I do believe that it was a choice. Upon their return from the Holocaust, which was horrible, and they were treated horribly, Germans stole their land, their money, their property, their homes. They regifted them to German citizens. And upon their return, when the Holocaust had ended, and it was all over and the Holocaust had ended, they returned back. And it's just disheartening, because you see what they did, what Germany did to them. They are now doing it to Palestinians and the black Jewish people that are there on the land. A lot of the black Jews, they went ahead and they pushed them to the Gaza Bank and put them in some kind of ratty looking apartments or whatever. I've been there several times. I like to travel, and I've been there, and so they don't treat them too well either. And the billions of dollars that we are putting, and Americans that are actually putting in to Israel, is something to consider as well, because it's the Walmart clerks that are paying for this, guys. Rich Americans proudly say they don't pay taxes. And if they say that the poor people aren't taxed, that's just not true. If you can give me a poor person who has paid $10,000 into their government, state and federal, and they get every bit of that $10,000 back, then I would probably believe you. But the monies that they get after state and federal taxes goes to something else. So it's mostly the poor people that are paying for this. And what's interesting is that we're giving them billions of dollars, and the Jewish people live on an area the size of New Jersey. So basically, we created a little Dubai for them. They're getting money hand over fist, right? And then they have this apartheid country that they also are implementing. So I think the best thing to do, and you just feel so overwhelmed from all of this, because every time I look on the television, I see somebody crying from Israel saying, this person killed my mother, this person killed my brother, which is horrible. Then I'll turn on the news again and I'll see a Palestinian person saying, this person killed my mother, this person did this to my brother, and it's horrible. So it's enough, okay? There's nothing going to be resolved until the land is shared. There's nothing, unless you're going for genocide. And I do not believe in genocide at all. I think there's much more to this than could ever kind of be discussed, but I'm trying to discuss as much as I can. So, but at the same time, let's consider that when they did return, when the UN and other countries were very sympathetic to Israel, and they returned the Jewish people back to Israel. Okay, how is it that when they got back, they got all the good land? Those lands were, rich Palestinians was there. They had beautiful homes. They had everything, gorgeous, beautiful homes there as well. But how did they get the best land now? How did you get to push all those people to one side unless somebody was taking land? Lot of documents, humanitarians, UNs, Palestinian people, interviews, and all those kind of things. We're saying that those lands were stolen from them. And that to me is something that needs to be investigated a lot more. Because I can never get over the fact that you left and you come back and you got the best land. Where did these people go? And they would give it to you? They would knowingly give you this land that their fathers, and I'm sure there were rich, beautiful homes, and a lot of them had been gifted, or they were the land was also gifted to people for kibbutzes and growing kibbutzes and community. And then again, also what the Jewish people had done too, when they had returned, they put out a worldwide recruitment. Anybody that wanted to come to Israel could come and be a part of this new Jerusalem state. Well, many of them. I'm not going to say anyone or anybody, but many of them, that was open for them. So when they came, didn't they have to promise them some land? Didn't they have to promise them a house? I would think so. So there's a lot going on here, and but I don't think for us to just straightforward and say that it belongs to Israel. There's too many blood ties with Arabs and blacks that belong on Israel. And they did leave, okay? And when they did leave, Israel was not developed, okay? They went to Europe because Europe was a little bit more developed. Upon their return, and they got all these billions of dollars and help. They get $1 billion from Americans. They also get support from other countries. They even have their own armies, okay? So I think they're living better than us. And not to mention that they could even be eligible to get 2 retirements if they're if they're if they're American Israeli citizens. They could. All they got to do is seasonal work, in each country, and you get 2 retirements too. It's hand over fist the benefits that they get. There's also a program that if you are Israeli and you can prove it, that you got bloodlines or something over there, they will fly you over there so you can see that country. Now, I don't know about you, but I have not been able to go to my ancestral home. Nobody's got tickets to go to Ireland or England or those kind of things. But there is so much benefits into being an American Israeli or Jewish person in Israel that it far outweighs what we have in America. And I question if that is fair. So with that being said, that's kind of where I'm coming from. I would love to hear you guys' input on that, and I certainly want to be educated. And from all my readings, that the UN, the human rights, there's different. You can go on different websites. You can go and look up Israeli laws. And my understanding that a Palestinian cannot become an Israeli citizen. So whatever money that you give into, that we think that we're helping by giving to Jewish people, they don't have to give a dime to Palestinians. And a lot of them are very, very, very poor, hard-working people. And they have this this claim that you have to denounce Hamas. You telling people to denounce something that they don't even know about. That's like you telling me to denounce all of the, or a white American to denounce all of the KKK. Do you know all of the KKK? Do you know who's on the office? Who would you know? How would you, something that's totally ridiculous. How is that even possible? But my point is, as an American citizen, and on my side, I think that we should be looking at ways to, as far as monies is concerned, I think that we should be looking at some of the ways to get some of the benefits that they have with the $1 billion ratio as comparable to New Jersey and people in America, Alabama, and all of these other, Mississippi and all these other poor countries. We don't even get our streets repaid. But and if all of the $1 billion that we have going over in Israel, if those streets aren't paid with gold, somebody's stealing that money. And that's another thing we need to look at as well. So those are my thoughts on the aggressive progressive. So I love to hear back from you, and we'll get the channel going a little bit better. Everything will be a little bit smoother. Doing the best I can, guys. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe.